Hi! I don't normally do sponsored content, but when the team at Overlays.uno reached out to me, I took a good look at their product and was genuinely impressed. It's perfect if you're a content creator who's looking for something with a bit more of a broadcast media feel, like sports events, news, church channels, podcaster. And the best part, it's absolutely free. Stay to the end, as I've got some great tips that you won't find anywhere else. So what is Overlays.uno? Well, in a nutshell, they provide high-quality overlays for content creators, primarily focusing on news, chats, sports, and events. They aren't your typical gaming overlays though. You know, the ones with pulsing neon and matrix graphics that are aimed at live game streamers. That market's already saturated with options. Overlays.uno is perfect for the rest of us that make up the bulk of YouTube content because they offer a more polished and professional look suitable for a variety of streams. But it gets better. These are not static overlays. They're not just cut, paste and forget. Not only is every one of them easily customizable, but they are dynamic, allowing you to change details whenever you want, even within your favorite streaming app like OBS or Streamlabs. Some of them even pull in live information from third-party sources like news and sports providers. So let's take a more detailed look and dive into the features that make Overlays.uno stand out. So if we take a look at the Overlays.uno homepage, you're going to need to set up an account. There will be an option up here to create an account, but as I've said, it is totally free. Now, Uno is actually owned by a company called Singular.live. They are a respected and quite established leader in video on-screen graphics within broadcast industries such as sports and news. So this is kind of a sister project where they're looking to bring those kinds of skills to content creators. They've actually said they've no intention of charging. The site, as you can see, is divided up into your menu bar down the left-hand side where you do most of the administrative work, and then in the center, the preview areas where most of the stuff happens. Now, I already have an account and I've indeed set up some folders which you can use to keep the overlays that you choose. I've got one here for my normal show and one here for the purposes of today. To see any overlays at all, you simply click on Library. This will bring up everything that you can see here. There are filters down the left-hand side, and it's worth noting a few things here. For a start, you'll notice that a lot of these have different color schemes, potentially different fonts, font sizes, and so on. And if you want to go and have a look and see those when they're actually brought together into their own collection, you need to come down to Theme. In the Theme section, there are loads. In fact, under each of these filters, you'll see that there is a Show More link, and you can just keep going when it comes to these collections. Some of them are themed for specific usage, like we have a talk show one here. And then you can see that each of these overlays does something different depending on what your needs are. And others are based on a particular look. So these will have the way that the overlay shows up on the screen. So for example, here are some overlay options, and if we mouse over these, you'll see that they all have the same look. There's a sort of a very consistent color scheme and font scheme and so on. But each one of these is a specific kind of overlay. For example, we've got talking points. If I click into this, we can see it in more detail. These talking points could be an index of what's coming up on the show for you, for example. And then at the very bottom, we have data sources. There's quite a few of these. So for example, if I select RSS and it shows me all the overlays pertaining to this kind of a data source, I could go and have a look at one over here. New York Times is showing up over here. And what this literally does is pulls in live news data into your ticker. Gives you an option, we'll have a look at these, gives you an option to choose what kind of news you want to see on there, but it's being pulled in this case from the New York Times. They also have a feed from CNN or ESPN and even Sky UK if, like me, you're in the UK. At the very top, you can choose the kind of panel, the overlay that you're looking for, the options: base, bug, full screen, image loop, lower third, package and panel. And there are certainly more than that in terms of the functions. So we've got scoreboard, ticker, live, title bar, talking points, or a timer. Of course, you'll all be familiar with a timer. There are several timer options in here. And again, not only are things like the timer itself customizable, you can determine if you want it to count down from an hour or from 5 seconds. It's entirely up to you. Now, if you see any overlays that you particularly like, or if you can't find one you're looking for, you can search in the search bar up here. Let's put lower third, and of course it's going to bring up any overlays that relate to the lower third term. You'll see tags are being used here, so they'll be already tagged for the kind of content that you're going to want to use them for. But let's say, for example, that we quite like the look of this lower third. So as you can see, there's an animation in there and a couple of panels as well. Let's add that to our overlays, and it shows up here. We can change how these appear if we want to. We can show them obviously in a list or in a grid style. Now, we've only got 3 chosen. There are indeed, if we go back to library, at the time of creating this video, there are 492, and they are being added to on a regular basis. I've had a look at the Discord behind Overlays.uno, and they are currently testing some new sports overlays, which are quite exciting. So there's always something going on. They're a relatively small team, but they are super supportive. I've reached out to them a couple of times to ask a few questions, and they've come back within an hour on a Sunday with an answer to help me along my way. So let's go back into our overlays and we'll have a look at this one. So as you can see, we've also got a title, social loop lower third. So let's open this up. We're going to go into the customization window. First thing we'll see is that there is a preview section at the top, followed by the tabbed options, and then finally the area that we do our customization in. So in this case, and we can close these up and open them up again. So we have the social lower loop, customize, and settings. So let's have a look. We can add in a number of different social links if we want to. In this case, the demonstration version, they've got an email with a message that says contact us, and a Facebook link with a message that says follow me. But there are others. We have Discord in here, we've got Instagram, Kick, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Rumble, Snapchat, TikTok, X, everything you could imagine. It even gives you an option down here to add your own. So for example, let's say we are on Threads. Let's put down Rokk Show at Rokk Show, and with a custom message that's friend me on Threads. There we go. And that also gives you an option to add your own image. So if you have a Threads logo, which of course you can pick up from the internet, you can drop that into your own image area. Every account has its own folder where you can add your own images, logos, brand icons, whatever you want, add them into your own folder. And of course, choose a custom color, because each of these, depending on which of the socials you've chosen, has its own color showing up in the preview up there. Right, so we then just check a couple of other things. We can change it to autoplay forever, just continuously loop. or we can have it just show up every so many minutes. So in this case, for example, we could say just show it every 5 minutes and display each of those social options for a set amount of time, in this case 3 seconds, but we can make it 10 seconds. And then we can increase the scale of the logo that shows up. With all of that done, all we then have to do is we'll click copy URL. We've copied that URL, and I'll show you in a second how easy it is to get it functioning in your desktop streaming application. While we're up here, there's a little play icon here as well. This allows you to copy all of this control, all of this customization, and use it as a dock within OBS, or indeed within your Stream Deck, which is something else that it allows you to do. You can copy a UNO token and use that within your Stream Deck. Okay, so that's a basic customization of a very simple overlay, to be fair. Let's go back and have a look at something a little bit more complicated. So for example, if we're looking for something in the sports region, maybe we're looking for a running score in our Sunday league for soccer, we can choose this one, add to my overlays, and we'll come up and open this one up, have a little look inside. So again, we have our preview window. We have the names of the two teams, a 3-letter code for each team. We can go into the setup, and here we could change. This is the Sunday League 1, for example, versus, I don't know, the KIS. Period duration, 2 45-minute halves. This will actually run in real time. So you can drop this overlay on at the beginning of a game with 0-0 in the score, for example. And you can switch it to second half, and you'll see, just about see up here that the time changes. So our first half is, we're showing 2 minutes. We need to reset this because obviously we've not started the game. But if it was the second half, it's going to start at 45 minutes, then we go into the first extra time, 90 minutes, and then the second extra time. Absolutely brilliant. And we can add our own stoppage time if we want to. Very, very clever, just like you see on those live soccer sports programs. And this can all be within your overlay. You get to choose the colors of your teams, of course. All of that is customizable within here. You can even change the logo of your local soccer team. When you're done, copy the URL, and we'll go over now and paste this into OBS and show you how that works. So here we are in OBS. We've got ourselves a little basic scene and source set up. A little bit of footage here, of course, the two local teams playing a little bit of football. So all you have to do to add an overlay is simply come to your sources window, click the plus symbol, click for the browser. Now I'm using a MacBook, but it's pretty much the same on a PC as well. Let's call this overlay 1. While we're in here, we'll select the URL that's already there, and we'll simply paste in the score that we've just created. Let's give it a width of 1920 wide by 1080 and hit OK with that. And there we're starting to see the fruits of our labor. But here's the key thing. If we then go back to our overlay, and this time click to copy the control URL, back in OBS, we'll select to create a new custom browser dock. So in here we just give it a name. Let's call it soccer score control. In the URL we'll paste in our new control. We'll click away and hit apply. And here, skip that, is our control area. So this is where, of course, we can now, if we just drag this somewhere, let's drag it down to here, take this down a little bit, there we go. So at this point we can now add a score. So let me see, we've got our SL1 guys, they're about to score, boom, they've scored, and that's automatically put that score into place. Of course the match time is as it was. We can take it back to the first half and get rid of the extra time. There's a score for KISS, let's give them one. There we go. Let's give them another one as well. Very, very easy. Now, of course, you might be thinking to yourself, what is missing here by a long stretch is some news information. Well, of course, we can go back and have a look at our library. Go to our tutorials folder, and here's that little CNN. Let's open that one up, the news ticker. So I know it says CNN, and yes, of course it isn't CNN, but we can change all of that. But what we can do, and this is the important thing, is under the newsfeeder tab, this option, we can choose where the news is coming from. So let's see, all the way down the bottom, we have Sky UK and we have Sky UK World. As soon as we change that, it automatically brings in literally live news. And we can actually see here is a custom RSS field. Paste your own in there if you have an RSS feed from your blog posts, for example. You could pop them in there. Now you see we have a custom category and a custom credit. Now these won't change any information up here if you're using one of the pre-defined news feeds. This is specifically if you want to put your own custom feed in, and then these will change into whatever you want to see in there. You get to choose the colors, of course. This is pretty much the same as before. Because it's a ticker, you also get to adjust the speed, so we can slow that right down. Let's take it down to 10. Much slower, less obtrusive if you're trying to explain something on the screen. And of course, you can change the direction from left to right, right to left, depending on what works for you. Same thing applies, copy a URL. And then over here in OBS, we need to create ourselves a new overlay, which we'll call CNN News. We'll paste our news in there. We'll make it 1920 by 1080 and paste it into place, giving it a second to catch up, and there we go. Now, at this point, of course, the two of them are pretty much on top of each other, not an issue at all. If we click on our overlay, the first one, which we didn't actually name, we can indeed move this around wherever we want it to go. Perfect. And then away you go. Now, I wanted to give you a tip before leaving, which I think you'll find very helpful. Most of these overlays have been designed for this 1920 by 1080, which is a standard resolution. But, like me, you may want to do one at 1440p, 4K, or maybe you're looking to use YouTube Short or TikTok, in which case you want it to be 9:16 rather than 16:9. You will find some distortion or even some fuzzy text when you come away from the 1080p standard, but I have a tip for you. So first off, let's just see what I mean. And if I change the setting for the resolution on this video to 1440, and we'll do the same with the output. And you'll see our two overlays, they're obviously showing up in the original scale that they were given. But if I choose CNN News, click on Properties, and go with 2560, 1440, now you'll see, although this area has increased, the actual overlay has stuck at 1080p. This is the solution. It's a really simple one. You won't find this anywhere else. This was imparted to me by the developers, no less, at Overlays.uno. So, making sure that your relevant overlay is selected, go into Properties, and at the end of your URL, you want to add a question mark, aspect equals responsive. And now, when this refreshes, it's going to go out to the full width of whatever you have chosen. And we can do the same thing, of course, with our other overlays. So if we go into Properties for the scores, and we put question mark, aspect equals responsive, and we'll give that 2560 by 1440. Okay, that. Give it a second to catch up. Boom, and there we go. It's even in the same relative position to the ticker, which is great news. Of course, you'll also want to increase the size of your footage, but you would have already taken care of that. So there we go, a little super tip for you. So there you have it. That is Overlays.uno in a nutshell. I was blown away at the quality of these overlays and also the earnest honesty of the team behind them. They genuinely are just really keen to provide the services that they have been providing to the broadcast industry for many years as Singular. To content creators like you and I think there's so much scope in what they have to offer, and play around with the overlays. You can actually, for example, if you have 4 people in a podcast show, duplicate a lower third 4 times, shrink it down to fit on their camera space, change each detail and paste those in as docs, move them around, do what you want with them, and you've achieved a brilliant lower third for each of your guests. So much flexibility. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Please do check out our sponsors at Overlays.uno. Say Rokk sent you, they'll be very pleased. They've got a great Discord as well that's very responsive, full of some great tips that I would highly recommend you joining. I have been Rokk. Today's sponsor has been Overlays.uno. Please leave a comment down below if you've enjoyed the content or indeed gone on to use an overlay. Maybe drop a link in the comments so that we can all see your hard work. I'll catch you again very soon.